Hi, fifth graders. So, Miss Dodd here. I am going to talk a little bit about the reading today. But before I get started, this is my plan. So, I'm going to talk to you about chapter 10. Then you're going to go read chapter 10. Then you can come back and press play on the video, and I will read chapter 11 as you follow along with the words. So, that's today's plan. So let's check out chapter 10 and talk a little bit about it before you go read it. So, first over here, we have our questions. So, why does General Washington send Ben to France? How do the French people feel about Ben Franklin? And then give 3 details to support your answer. So, that's chapter 10. And then the vocabulary is aspirations, which is the hope to achieve something, and rumblings. So, a continuous sound. You might hear rumbling somewhere. To review a little bit, the previous chapter was where Amos and Ben worked with Mr. Franklin and Red, and they came up with the Declaration of Independence. So that's where we are in the book. So this is La Belle France, chapter 10. Let's go through a couple of the other vocabulary words just to note them before you get started with your reading. So right up here, you'll see this word, superb. That's the word superb. Similar, I always remember because it's similar to super, so very good, superb quality. And then as you look through, we have this word is undoubtedly, another kind of tricky one. As we look through this page, we have over here responsibility. The armed sloop Reprisal is ready to sail. So I'm sure it's a boat. And then here's our word aspirations that we saw before. So to want to do something. And then just to look through, unpleasantly churned. Churned is to turn up water. Disgustingly well and annoyingly active. So, this is another word I like. So, hastily. If you haven't heard that word before, hastily means quickly. And then this word over here is profanity. So, tremendous outburst of profanity on deck. So, profanity is basically bad words, if you haven't heard that before. All right, so you pause the video now. You read chapter 10 and then come back and I'll read chapter 11 to you. So here's some things to check out about chapter 11. So the questions are, why does Amos urge Ben to dine less with Madame Helvetis and more with Madame Brilliant? Who is Sophia? Some of the vocabulary is a milliner, person who makes and sells hats. Villainous, wicked behavior. Intrigue is curiosity. Persecution, hostility or ill treatment of someone for their beliefs. Thwart is to stop. Aristocrat is a person of high power or wealth. And dissolute is poor or low or immoral. So here we go. We're going to start reading chapter 11. At court. Our voyage at last ended, although I was too far gone to know or care. By the time I had recovered, we were comfortably lodged in a house at Passy, a small town on the outskirts of Paris. Ben, for some unaccountable reason, proved to be tremendously popular with the French people. Scholars, scientists, and writers flocked to the house. They hung on his every word and talked of his lightning rods and kite flying as though they were something wonderful. Pictures of him were sold in all shops, while his maxims were quoted everywhere. In French, of course. To me, they made even less sense in French than in English. As for the admiration of the French ladies, it was just plain silly. They swarmed around him like flies around a honey jar. They called him Papa and used to cry if he refused their invitations to tea or dinner. Our mail was filled with their ridiculous notes, all highly perfumed. Some of the ladies went so far as to copy the untidy way in which he wore his hair, while others wore fur caps made in imitation of Ben's. One of them even tried to borrow my home for her milliner to copy. I put a stop to that promptly. So remember, milliner is a person who makes hats. We were surrounded by diplomats, politicians, and spies, all of whom were trying to find out what Ben was doing in France and, if possible, to prevent him from accomplishing it. Naturally, I was kept extremely busy watching all these people and telling Ben what they were up to. I became familiar with the desk of every ambassador in Paris, read each one's mail, and listened to all their conversations. Of course, with the information I supplied, Ben was able to thwart every plot against us, thereby gaining the reputation of being a brilliant diplomat. While I worked myself to a shadow, he was growing fat on all this attention, not to mention the dinners he continually attended. He did do his part at court, however. The king and queen were just as silly as the rest of the French in their admiration of for Ben, his maxims, and his quaint clothing. They especially liked the fur cap, which of course he wore everywhere. By flattery and smooth-tongued promises, he managed to borrow millions of francs for General Washington and his ragged army. As long as he secured these vast sums for the cause of liberty and justice, I didn't mind how ridiculous he made himself, but the sociability was wearing me down. Ben, I said finally, I've just been thinking of one of your maxims. He that goes a borrowing goes a sorrowing. Now here you've come on one of the biggest borrowing expeditions of the age. But where's the sorrowing? You've borrowed millions from the King of France, and you're still the most carefree old rapscallion I've ever seen. Every evening it's dinner with Madame this or the Countess that. Fools make feasts and wise men eat them, says he. All right, I said, all right. I won't try to match maxims with you, but this dinner thing is wearing me out, especially that Madame Helvetis. She and her cats. She had many important people at her dinners, he protested. She also has cats, I said. Dozens of cats all over the house, and that pesky little yapping dog. My nerves are on edge all the time I'm there, Ben. I just can't stand much more of it. Besides, suppose something horrid were to happen to me. How could you get along? What would happen to our mission, to our army, to General Washington? Ben looked thoughtful. There is much in what you say, Amos. Forewarned is forearmed. Moreover, I dislike those cats as much as you do, and as for that dog, yes, you are right, Amos. It is too grave a risk. For now on we must dine less often with Madame Helvetis, and more often, perhaps, with Madame Brillion. Now, I said, you show some glimmer of sense. If we must dine out all the time, let it be Madame Brillion, by all means. There's a lady for you. Not a cat in the entire house. Good food, too. So, to my great relief, we ceased our visits to Madame Helvetis and her cats, dining several times a week with Madame Brillion. This suited me perfectly, for in addition to the good food and charming surroundings, there was Sophia. Okay, so let's figure out who Sophia is. Sophia was a very beautiful white mouse from the court of Versailles, an aristocrat and a lady, if I ever saw one. A lady in distress, as I soon learned. She lived in Madame Brilliant's towering headdress, which made a really dainty home, very different from my rough frontier cabin type of residence. During the long, tiresome dinners, we visited back and forth a great deal. Her English was excellent, for she was beautifully educated, so we were able to converse freely. Having spent most of my life in the company of rather lowly church and tavern mice, I found her brilliant mind and delightful manners a revelation. I soon became her devoted admirer and slave. So just note who Sophia is. Well, had she need of an agile mind and a strong right arm, for she had been a victim of the most villainous intrigues and persecution by the white mice of the court. The story of her wrongs, which she unfolded to me, is too long to be set forth here. It is enough to say that as a result of a foul conspiracy, her husband, a member of one of the oldest mouse families of France, had been exiled to America, where she herself had been obliged to flee from the court, leaving their 7 children captives of Versailles. Her poor husband was now in Philadelphia struggling valiantly to make a home in the New World for his family, should they ever be reunited. Sophia, when banished from the court, had sought refuge with Madame Brilliant, whose kindness to the unfortunate was well known. Here, in her protector's great white wig, Sophia served her in much the same capacity that I did Ben. As adviser and confidant, she was the greatest value to her patroness, and since Madame Brilliant often attended the court, Sophia was able occasionally to secure news of her children's welfare. Although never able to see them, she learned that they were held in a small cell directly beneath the Queen's throne. Her one desire in life now was to rescue these unfortunate young ones and join her husband in America, but the task seemed well nigh hopeless. Not only was I touched by her beauty and helplessness, but all my Republican sympathies cried out against these wicked injustices by the pampered aristocrats of a dissolute court. Madame, I cried, do not despair. Though of humble birth, I have played no small part in the affairs of men and nations. What a mouse can do, I will. Will. I, Amos, solemnly swear never to rest until your wrongs are righted, and you are happily joined with your children and husband in our beautiful city of Philadelphia, USA. Tears filled the beautiful pink eyes at my words. Oh, Monsieur Amos, she said softly, could you but accomplish this? What happiness would you bring to my bereft family? Fear not, madame, I said. To a true son of liberty and justice, such a task is a mere nothing. Have courage and trust in Amos. Okay, fifth graders. So that was an interesting chapter about Amos's experiences in France and the madames that he likes. And now this Sophia, his new friend, this mouse, who seems to have had a tough road as well. All right, so you're going to go back, you're going to answer the questions for chapter 11, and I'll be back to do something like this again on Wednesday. All right, bye everyone.